One quote that I heard, and it meant nothing to me when I first heard it, but I've been unpacking it since then, is the quote is, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. And it's this idea that we're creatures of time and space, and we know time and space by what's around us and by things that change. We're increasingly in a virtual world. We're increasingly in our phones and our scrolling, in our heads, thinking about future and past. And the challenge is that when we don't have boundaries that act as like waystones, as markers, as points of reference, whether that's the time limit on the things we spend, or I'm only doing this activity in this room. If we don't have those kinds of boundaries and those limits in place, then the idea of to be everywhere is to be nowhere is that you're never landing, you're never settling, you're never focusing on the things that really provide meaning.
I like that. It's just, my wheels are turning so much when you're saying this, because it's true. That's like, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. I think personally, I'm doing a bit of a challenge right now. And part of it is a checklist. We like checklists because they make sure we're not everywhere.
Yeah.
So if I have a checklist, then I know where I'm going and where I have been. So by the end of my day, I'm like, oh, wow, I got it done. Whereas if I'm not containing myself and I'm just doing whatever, by the end of the day, I might not know what I've done, or I might not have efficiently accomplished what I need to. So this everywhereness, I guess, to what I wonder then is, it's like, okay, well, how does this bad boy fit into that problem, right?
Yeah. So, man, that's one to unpack. I think just in brief, every app, every team behind every app, their intention is to get you using it as much as you can, because everybody wants to make a living, and that's how they're making a living. So don't underestimate the fact that Instagram changes their color scheme on their icon, because they know, hey, this color is going to flash more than the other, and it's going to get your attention more. So they're asking you to join there, but it's not the only app on your phone. All of them are asking for your attention. So if we don't have an internal sense of structure, then things like checklists create an external structure that we can cling to, that give us a sense of, hey, we can go through this. I know for myself, one of the best things you can do on your phone is there's a mode to change the color on it. So you just defeated multi-million-dollar industry on what colors to use to get your attention by turning it black and white.
Yeah.
Defeats Instagram, where it makes it all monochromatic, which some people might like, but it's a way of saying, how do I work with my own structure to protect myself from getting pulled everywhere? How do I slow down and focus?
I like that. I want to re-say that. How do I work with my structure? And that thing of this diligence, we think of mindfulness as this. Mindfulness is creating space for meditation and emptying into solitude. But mindfulness is also about a diligence.
Yeah.
And that, what is my structure? So if I can get slow with me, and I can sense into my space, my sacred space and my boundaries, then there's also place to evaluate what are these structures, as sort of checklists, if you will, or this color scheme, if you will. There's so many pieces for each of us individually.
So this is a big drive behind a lot of attention challenges that people can run into, is that it actually does something for us. It's actually quite useful to be nowhere when most places you go feel painful. And when we ask people for mindfulness, sometimes mindfulness is challenging because we're saying we're slowing down, we're deepening, we're trying to land into something. And when we've been everywhere and nowhere all at once, that can be uncomfortable. But it's also the ground where things become more meaningful.
I love that too, Tony. Just that nowhere versus pain. And that fits so much with the mega theme with people, especially North Americans right now, is vices during COVID.
Yeah.
Because it's that, the self-medicating, the spiritual medicating is what I've started to sort of wonder about, because I'd rather be nowhere, whether that's through numbing out with food, alcohol, gambling, shopping, pulling
scrolling.
out, scrolling. Yes, scrolling. Yeah. So there's all these spaces. It's like, when we're in our pain zone, and we've all been in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Loneliness is painful.
Loneliness. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's been lonely. So there's the pain of the global catastrophe. There's the pain of the political distress. There's the pain of considering vaccination, no vaccination. And then we're lonely. We are. They're, without fail, people are lonely right now. We're all impacted relationally.
Yeah.
Whether you're at home with your people or not. There will be somebody out there who's not impacted relationally.
Yeah.
But there's lots of us who are.
Yeah. So, really tying it in, everywhere and nowhere in this pain is how do we start creating small spaces, working with our limits, our structure, to have little moments of pain, but in connection, little moments that can be meaningful, that allow us to actually exist somewhere.
And with this quote, if you're everywhere, you're nowhere, it's this, again, what you're saying, these like landmarks, these milestones, these thumbprints.
Yep.
A thumbprint is a great metaphor right now, because there's an actual individual impression.
Yes.
And so if we find ways to be somewhere, we are somewhere.
Yeah. 100%.
And that sounds kind of foo-foo out there, babbly, but I'd rather be somewhere than nowhere.
Yeah. And that's a choice. It really is a conscious choice.
Mm-hmm.
There are times where it's a gift to be nowhere. Dissociation. Because some things are just really hard to endure, but that should be a choice, and it can't be the default we get stuck in.
Yeah, because then it's destructive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it prevents us from the meaningful life that I think all of us want.
Yeah. And there's a biological ability to dissociate. So there's times and places as part of who we are as mammals, as humans.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, it's not our go-to. If I'm dissociating too frequently on a daily basis, I am living in the nowhere. And that's vice land. And vice land is a dangerous place. It's not reality. No.
It robs us of the opportunity to take ownership of our life and actually make a life that we like, that has meaning for us, that can become more comfortable.
Yes.
The longer we spend in nowhereness, the harder it is to find places to land that feel good.
Exactly.
So the pain, there's no way around it, only through it. Is sometimes we have to bear a little pain, bear a little shame to get to the other side, where things are good, where the connection is rich, where the memories are deep and meaningful.
Exactly. Awesome, Tony. Thank you so much. This is a real thoughtful piece, people. And just, I would take some time to slow down and consider.
Yeah.
If you're everywhere, then you're actually really nowhere. And this really strangeness of creating spaces to be somewhere, because then you're each somewhere. And if you're somewhere, here you are.
Here you are.